and welcome back to the Shoogly shed. In this episode I am continuing work on the Suzuki GS500 engines that I have been for the last few episodes. I'm hoping today to get the sides off the crankcase and remove the innards from there. The last few episodes you'll have seen I got the top end of this engine off. Now I'm delving into the bottom end. That will basically involve taking the side casings off the crankcase and removing the parts that I can from there that will allow me then to separate the two halves of the whole crankcase and get into the gearbox. I've had engine casings off before, but removing anything from under there is a whole new game for me. In the past I've done things like removing clutch plates to replace them, but with this I'm going to have to remove the clutch plates, remove the clutch basket and all the other gubbins, the gear selector, all these things. So that's kind of exciting for me because now I'm breaking new ground on the bottom end of the engine. Hopefully I don't hurt myself this week and hopefully it all goes smoothly. So let's see. So the clutch cover is off. That reveals this side of the engine. I've just taken the clutch pack out, so that's the friction plates and the steel plates. They're out, the springs obviously as well, they're all in a pack. The next thing is the actual clutch basket. This is a clutch assembly. If you've never seen one before, this is what basically puts the power from your engine to your gearbox and removes it again so you can change gear. The problem I face now is undoing this bolt. This center bit is attached to the gears basically. That moves independently of this outer section which is attached to the main drive of the engine. That serves me a bit of a problem because to undo this nut you need to hold the rest of the basket together. If you're not holding the basket you can't undo that nut because it'll just spin. Now, some clever clogs have made special clutch basket removal tools that go into these splines here and interlock with the outer section so you can hold your clutch still while you undo this. I don't have one of those tools. So I'm going to have to come up with something slightly different, possibly a bit of a bodge. Got to try and figure this out. Let's see how we get on. Well, that was a bit of a struggle. Turns out the specialist tool would be mighty handy in this situation. It's quite a complicated thing to hold. I did come up with this. This is my new clutch removal tool, which slots quite conveniently on like that and holds it quite still. So, points for that one. Anyway, it's now loose, so I can take this nut off and the locking spacer behind it. And hopefully the clutch basket. Ta-da! There are so many bolts. So many bolts and circlips and levers and cogs. Oh boy! So this here comes along from the gear selector and actuates this arm here, which turns this and selects your gear for you. I think that's all I actually know about the inside of this engine. Next up, I'm going to remove the oil pump, which is down here, and the gear selector mechanism. And we'll see how long that takes me. Well, like a total idiot, I've rounded this bolt in here that holds the oil pump in. Just slipped with my impact driver. Really stupid. However, all is not lost. I'm hoping that I can get away without removing the oil pump and inspect it in situ when I take the crankcases apart. It's a bit annoying. I don't think this engine had any problems with the oil pump, so that is one saving grace to that situation. But let's try and be a bit more careful for the rest of the bolts and not round anything off. Well, that pretty much concludes the right hand side of the engine, so let's flip it round and get the left side open. Right, we've got the left hand side of the engine open. This is the drive for the starter motor, which just lifts out. It's on a wee dowel. This is essentially the charging system for the bike. There's a row of coils, copper wire coils, that are on the inside of the casing. These are magnets that spin, and that creates an electrical current that charges your battery and keeps your bike's electrics running properly. Next up is to remove this. This is fixed directly to the crankshaft, so this big bolt, I think, is what takes it off. So the theme of today is specialised tools that I don't have. This magnet rotor here, the way to get it off is to use a specialised puller. The reason is it's not screwed on or anything, it's pressed on to the crankshaft. It's a sort of press fit retained by this big bolt here. There's a thread cut into it that you can thread a puller onto, and then there's a bolt that goes through it that presses on the crankshaft and separates the two. That's great, that sounds like it works really well, but if you haven't got the tool, Haynes manual suggests you can use a 14mm bolt and a 36mm long spacer. Can I find an M14 bolt? No, nowhere. Not in here anyway. So I've got two options. I need to go and get myself an M14 bolt, or have a look and see how much these pullers cost. As a finishing point for today, I'm pretty happy, to be honest. I've got both casings off. I've taken off parts that I've never even investigated removing before, so that's a whole new learning curve for me. Getting the clutch basket off obviously ate up a load of my time, and this is another sort of roadblock that I met here. I'm pretty happy though. I'm looking forward to getting this off, and then it really is just separating the crankcases and seeing all the gearing and the gearbox inside. So I'm excited to do that. So you can look forward to that in the next episode. Just now though, I'm going to say goodbye. If you enjoyed watching this, give me a wee like, leave me a comment. If you have any cool suggestions to get this off, that would be even more helpful. And as always, subscribe to the channel to check out the next episode. And I'll hopefully see you next time. Cheers. Man, there's all sorts of wizardry shit going on in there. Cool.